this morning, we are very fortunate to have Harvey Lang, who is currently the Technical Service Lead at Syngenta Flowers. His duties include working closely with brokers and growers on production advice for poinsettias, geraniums, and other spring products. Harvey, it's our pleasure to have you here today. I'm going to turn the program over to you, and thank you very much for your time.
All right, well, thank you, Linda. Today we're going to talk about several relatively new seed varieties and introductions that we've come out with the last couple of years. And most of these are out in the outdoor trials this summer in the FNGLA flower trials. So the first one I want to talk about here is a line that we talked about a little bit last year. We introduced our Aymara XDR impatiens. And these were the first downy mildew resistant impatiens, Walleriana type out there. And they've been in the Florida landscape. Growers are trying these and they really like them, and they've been performing very well. And this year, I just wanted to talk about that we have 5 new color mixes. And if you see impatiens out there when you go to the stores or in landscape, impatient color mixes are very popular. So for this coming season, we have 5 mixes: the hot mix, a pastel mix, rosy mix, tango mix, and then what we call a pro formula mix. But the Aymaras are a nice line. They're the most complete color range. They have core colors and novelty colors in the disease-resistant series. And what does XDR mean? Just real quick, there's 3 things when we designate a new line as an XDR. An XDR can stand for extra disease resistant or extreme disease resistant, but basically it means 3 things. We feel we're the best in class genetic performance under this specific disease pressure. We do this rigorous testing for disease resistance, both in a lab and a field setting, all over the world in our facilities. And XDR means that we always get an outside independent verification. Usually it's a university lab or a professor who's very established in that disease in the field. And in this particular case with the Aymara impatiens, it's Dr. Marjorie Daughtry up at Cornell. And just won't go too much into this, but we do a lot of testing. You can go on to our website on the left of the screen. You can see, not here, but going on our website, kind of a cool video. It's a time lapse. Some of our early work over in Europe where you can see the Aymaras over time, how they're holding up versus the regular commercial stuff that's out there, the non-disease types that are just going down. And on the right, just a few shots from Dr. Marjorie Daughtry's work in Cornell showing Aymaras versus your typical non-disease types on the market. And like I said, they've done very well in Florida. We've had them in a lot of grower settings and in botanical gardens. Here's some from Naples last February. And this disease can be very prevalent in our Florida winter and early spring, where you have the cooler temperatures and sometimes even more kind of damp conditions in the morning, but that's when you'll tend to see the disease on these susceptible types. Some shots from Miami, the Costa Gardens, and these are full sun trials. Normally impatiens are really more, you'll see them in shade and part shade, but they'll even take full sun in our Florida kind of early, late winter and early spring when the temperatures are a little bit cooler if you provide enough moisture. And here's some shots from the Disney Gardens last year that Melissa Shepard sent me from late March. Really uniform, a nice color range, and we've added more novelty colors here this season last year. And again, we'll have the mixes new for this year. And lastly, we've had some of these Aymaras at Bok Tower Gardens, one of the botanical gardens here in Lake Wales area, and these plants are over 1 year old. Actually, I think they're still there going on 2 years, and they really hang in there. If these were non-disease types, susceptible types, they would have been out and done just a few months after plantings. And the key with Imara, these new disease resistance impatiens, is to get the word out that impatiens are back. So that's Imara and their new color mixes. Another line that we introduced last year, seed line, was Cora XDR Vinca. And this is really taken off in Florida and in the whole South, and where you have a lot of disease pressure with what's called aerial Phytophthora. That's a major disease that can take down normal Vinca. And we screen this Cora XDR against 20 different isolates of Phytophthora fungal disease, including 10 of the most virulent types. Our independent third testing is done with Dr. Stephen Jeffers at Clemson University. He's the kind of the national expert in Phytophthora. He has our isolates, he does the disease testing, and also we're doing a lot of the testing. And just introduced for this year is a new Cora XDR Apricot, which was a real key color that's used in Vinca plantings. And I won't go too much into this, but we do a lot of testing against the competition, especially if it's competition that has been bred for disease resistance. And just some shots of the Cora versus the Valiant. That's the other major aerial Phytophthora disease resistant plant out on market. Some shots there. Some scores from inoculation with Phytophthora Valiant versus Coras. 0 would be completely disease-free, and 5 rating would be disease plants. But bottom line, we just feel the Cora's XDR and our breeding is as good as anything on the market if you need disease-resistant Vinca. And the last thing I'll just tell you, well, one more shot here, just some other trials of non-resistant types, the common Vinca type versus a Cora XDR type, from some shots here from plantings up in North Carolina. Here's some shots from the Cora XDR in the Costa Trial Gardens in Miami, and also over in South Florida, Delray Beach, under a lot of heavy rainfall. So they were really under a lot of disease pressure. Other shots from the Metrolina trials, North Carolina and Young's. And I guess this is a good shot to show you, when we develop the new Cora XDR, we're not only selecting for disease resistance, that's the real key, but we also select for improved flower size and colors and flower petals that are nice and round and don't split. So they're just a really great updated variety, great branching, they perform, and they have this unique added XDR disease resistance. Another one I want to talk about is one that we've come out with a couple years ago, but it's a really great item for the South, and it's called Bright Sparks Celosia. We have 3 colors. It's a more of an intermediate celosia, and when I saw this a couple years in my travels around North America, I was just totally impressed. The branching and the number of plumes on these, and just outstanding heat tolerance all the way through the Florida summers. Just a really great item. 3 colors, just really attractive. Some up in Rakers in Michigan, one of the trials, and we even plant them around our Syngenta flower offices in Gilroy, California, and they just keep branching and performing. Some shots from Metrolina and some younger plantings last year when I was over in Dallas, Texas, and they continue to perform according to the trial gardener there, or the gardener of the Dallas Arboretum, that they really performed in the heat of the Texas summer. So here's another one. The next one is called Mojave Salvia, and this one, like the celosia, is just a great heat tolerant plant. All these plants I'm talking about, the celosia, the vinca, the salvia, really do well in Florida, especially when it gets hot through late spring and summer. And the Mojave Red Salvia is one that had been around for years. And then just last year, we upgraded the whole series with 4 new colors. And the purple is my favorite in these new colors. It's really outstanding. But when you see these are a larger, kind of intermediate sized salvia. They love the heat. and the flowers last forever. That was the real key in the breeding. Great basal branching, dark foliage to get through the heat, and these, what they call flower corollas, the little throat in the flower, last forever so they don't drop and you just have a stick-on flower. So that's Mojave Salvia, just some shots from Young's trials in Auburn, Alabama. You can see when you just walk up to the plants, they just really make an impact, lots of color, incredible branching. And then the last couple items we're going to talk about, one is the Happy Marigold. It's a French crested dwarf marigold. And this is, if you've been in Florida and you buy plants, you'll see a lot of marigolds in late spring through the summer, along with the salvia and the celosia. Those are your great Florida summer plants that when you need to put something in the garden, when the early spring stuff is burned out, marigolds, these French types. And this is a brand new item that will be coming out new. It's called the Happy Series. We have 5 colors in a mix, and it's this nice dwarf series, stays down in the pack. It won't stretch and get lanky like you can get with other marigolds in the summer. And compared to some of the competition you see out there, you'll see a line called Hot Pack or Janie, Little Hero types. The Happy have a little bit more vigor in the landscape, and that's what we're hearing from growers, to put a little bit more vigor on these dwarf French type marigolds. So that's the Happy Series, Happy Marigold. And then the last seed product I'll talk about that's actually in the gardens this year also is called Sriracha Cufia. Sriracha means hot, and this is one of the most heat tolerant plants. Again, another great item for Florida as you get into spring and summer. There's 4 colors, and I wanted to bring this one in because new in this series is a really nice new color called Lavender Bicolor, really outstanding. That's the one that we have in the gardens this year, the flower trial gardens. But anyway, it's Sriracha Cufia, just a great colorful plant that takes the heat and fills gardens for that late spring and summer for Florida. And that ends the presentation here. I just want to mention one other thing. We didn't have our California pack trials live. Things were canceled, just like a lot of things, but you can go to our website at the syngentaflowers.us.com. You see it there. And if you want to listen to the digital webcasts of those sessions, you can go online, and there's a lot of great information. That's where you'll see everything new and all the new things and cool stuff we're doing at Syngenta. Just go to the website and click on the webcast presentations. And that ends the presentation. There's my contact information, our website, and send me emails if you have questions. But that ends it, and thank you. I'll return it to you, Linda.